Hello. Happy Friday, everybody. Thanks for joining me on this day. Today really is a day. And that's cool. I don't know why. Anyway, cool. Let's move to FL Studio. I really should plan out my speeches better, but I don't, and you wouldn't expect me to anyway. You'd probably be thrown off if I came up with some well-articulated thought, so I will continue to do things the way I've always done them, which is to just wing it. Anyway, it looks like we have a hot remix, which is cool. I haven't heard a new hot remix in a while. It was my birthday yesterday. I'm 36 years old. Thank you in advance, or thank you belated. Thank you belated. How do you say thank you for something that's happened in the past? I have no idea. Let's move on. Let's check out Hot Vagamag's remix. This should be cool. Let us go. This is from the VIP. I like how you've mixed in elements from the VIP in with the original. This is ridiculous. Okay, so what do I think? When it drops, I have some thoughts. So you kind of have like your top drums that come in right off the top, and to me, there's just too much happening at the. I feel like I say this to every single song, so maybe this is just a me thing, but there's just too much stuff happening at the top of the drop. We got like the hot, we got the bass sounds, we got like top drums, we got shuffly top drums. I think when you drop with like the shuffly, like the top stuff, it doesn't feel like a You know, that's a good question, Sebastian. I hope soon. I think soon. I think maybe starting next month, like this month coming. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Anyway, initially I thought, because like it almost feels like we skipped forward to like halfway through the drop, right? It kind of sounds like this. I'd lean more into like just the quarter note stuff and like the sounds and the kick and the snare, and then bring in those top drums later, like halfway through the drop or something. That way you have more of like a dot dot dot, like it's more simple and brutal. Like maybe I'd bring in the hi-hats there, or the shuffly stuff. You could have like a hi-hat on the upbeat, but it's just kind of like the other stuff that kind of dilutes like the impact of it. I also am not sure that all of the tonal sounds are playing the right note. I don't know if they're all in the same key as the original song. Yeah, like there's some sounds that are just kind of playing notes. They're not like the right notes. I would probably consider them the wrong notes. I think. Oh, let's check this part. Oh my God. I had a metronome on that whole time, just going at a random beat per minute. I was like, there's no way this hi-hat, I'm sorry. There's just a random hi-hat in these parts are super cool. I feel the same way about this drop too. I think it's better than the first. But it would still be better if it dropped more simplistic. I think drops have more impact, kind of counterintuitively, if the drop is just simple. So we can be like, oh, yeah, it's easy and you can get into it and understand what's happening like almost instantaneously. And then you can start sprinkling in all the top drums and the shuffles and all this and that. I think that's the biggest thing. And okay, two big things. That, and then also some of the sounds just kind of sounded a little not in the same key as the song. So I would probably go through and just kind of like to me, there's a lot of cool sounds and cool grooves happening, but like melodically, I'm not sure what's happening. And even in the original song, it's a little vague. So you're kind of off to like dun dun, but it's not really dun dun. It's just like a noise that hits. So you're kind of off to a hard start anyway. But overall, like melodically, it just kind of, there's no real recognizable melody or anything. It is a bit messy. So yeah, but very cool. I really liked everything from here over was like the strongest part of the track. So maybe like base more of the song off of that stuff and just vary it up a little bit to make it not exactly the same. That's what I would do. Like, what are those notes? And do they relate to the key of the song? Do they fit into some scale? I don't know. Okay, which way do I gotta turn this camera? There we go. There. Dude, I tried making music yesterday for my birthday. It didn't go over very well, but I'm also very rusty because I haven't done it in months. So I really would like to make music again. I miss it. Anyway, that's what I think. Thanks for saying that was cool. Okay, let's check out Ground Zero by Renaissance, Celtic, and Fayhue. Ground Zero, eh? It's an interesting Escape from Tarkov map. Let's just go ahead and make sure I'm not doing the thing that I do sometimes. No, we're good. Yeah, I'll grab it, industry. Yeah, this is dope. There's a lot of really great sound design, a lot of great grooves and the beats. It's all sounds good. It sounds very like you are playing around. It doesn't sound like you've nailed down an idea yet, you know? Like there was some like dialogue or vocal thing that comes in somewhere around here. So I think you have all the tools you need to make a song, but right now it's just kind of like a bunch of ideas thrown out there, right? And to try and create it, I do agree with Kaidi, it needs a hook. Yeah, it needs something to give it an identity besides just like, oh my god, all of these sounds sound so incredible. I think a good reference for you would be Possession. How the hell do you spell it? By Ivy. What? Ivy Lab? I think it's called Possession. Possession. No way. Am I misremembering it? Ivy Lab. I thought for sure it was called Possession. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, I found it. I would look at that track and see how they strung together. I think a lot of it actually is the vocals that happen right before the drop. And then boppy, that thing is like a reoccurring theme. So I think like you have so many great sounds and grooves and ideas in here, but now you have to like chisel it into an actual song and not just like a collection of incredible production sounds. That's pretty much all I have for this one because it's sick. And I think the sound design, production, mix, master, all that technical bullshit sounds great. Just needs to be a song now, not a production masturbation. All right. Thanks for sending. Sick. I hope that helps. Let's move on. We are making incredible progress today. Very fast, very speedy. Okay. We got two more to grab. That's fine. I'll grab them while we're listening to this one. So this one's Horu and Devilish Trio. Devilish Trio sounds like a group of guys that go out and get into trouble, you know? They partake in some tomfoolery and shenanigans. Okay, this one's called Permatrip. Permatrip. Let's have a listen.
This world's approaching Armageddon, so I guess I'll take some acid and escape on down the hall belonging to the hurry rabbit. Every door beside its place, it seems to lock all on its own. Off in the corner lies a key that opens up, but only one, and it's too small to fit inside. I've always spoken this aggression, now I'm about to make a choice. Should I call it what's affecting me? I think it's time to make a change within my life. Explore the brain and see this conscience that controls us. What's it really truly mean? So I choose to eat the cake.
Okay, my immediate thought is that those vocals are just getting buried. Like, I feel like you almost should have the vocals in a very stripped down section so that we get like the beat. Where did the oot come from? The beat and the groove, maybe? Anyway, we get like the groove of the track, but it's super stripped back and the vocals are super up front. And then that you could have him deliver a verse or something leading up and then have like a drop with the boom with the synth kind of melody that's going, because I feel like there's just so much stuff happening that I'm not really understanding the vocals very much. They just kind of sound like a background element. So I think you should produce the track in a way that allows the vocals to really shine. That sort of thing doesn't work here. We're not that fancy. But if you do go to the bottom where it says the link, you can type that manually into your browser and find it. Anyway, so far that's my thought. My thought is that the vocals don't have enough room, and I don't think it's just a matter of turning them up. I think the production should be stripped back, allow the vocals to do their thing, and then once the vocals do their thing, come in with that synth melody. Maybe the beat is more intense, and now we have more of like an instrumental section, and we can kind of think about like the way I think about it is like, you deliver the words, right? We get some ideas from the words, we're thinking about them, and then we groove in the context of whatever situation the words set up initially. Anyway, let's keep going.
What's it really truly mean? So I choose to eat the cake, and now I'm broken to the ceiling. What the fuck, my heart is racing, but then suddenly the room it turns to black, and then a face appears and asks me what the problem is. I throw it, I can't shrink enough to move on through the gates of sacred knowledge.
Yeah, like the vocals, it kind of sounds like you made an instrumental and then you just took like a really long vocal and just put it on top of it. Like the track and the vocal don't really seem to be aware of each other. They're just kind of chugging, you know?
Through the gates of sacred, I'm getting all I need to be my final phase. So through this world I walk alone and search for God. She will take me to my savior as a caterpillar. Oceans me on smoke up on this earth.
Yeah. The vocal sounds great. The track sounds great, but together they don't really raise each other up. They're just kind of getting in the way of each other, right?
Dream you'll never die. Take a dream, come with me into the lane that is forbidden. Tamper with me, 'cause it just it helps me see all that is hidden. Vivid colors, deep and strong. Mind is racing, but I'm gonna see the shadow.
Yeah, it kind of has that. I was thinking it had that funk vibe to it as well. So maybe that's a consideration, but I still just think like, regardless of the genre or the tropes or you know what usually happens in a certain style of music, I just think that the track and the vocal just sound like they were created in two isolated scenarios and then just put together and then create, like, you know, rendered out. There's no, like, the track doesn't drop out for a certain line delivery. The track doesn't break down and have the vocals come in and then the vocals take a step back and we get to focus more on the instrumental with maybe a little bit of sprinkling of like a hook or something in there. So yeah, that's pretty much, yeah. I mean, like the vocal sounds good, the track sounds good, but they just don't seem aware of each other. They just seem like mixed. Yeah, mixed together. Like if I try really hard, I can listen to the vocals and I can kind of understand the words, but I could not recite back to you a single line that we just listened to. Like not a single line is in my head. I couldn't even the part that we just listened to. I can't remember a single line. And I think it's just because the vocals are just buried and they're not mixed in a way that would make me feel like they're important. And I think too, like the whole track from the point where the vocals come in here till I'm assuming all the way here, it's just like it just goes forever. And I know that's kind of like, that's like a style. I'm not saying that that's bad, but the fact that it's just like the vocal is relentlessly delivering eighth notes the entire song, regardless of what the track is doing. I think that, anyway, I'm beating off a dead horse. That's what I think. I think the track is cool. I think the vocals are cool. I just think you got to go and produce it in a more meaningful way, as opposed to just like, here's a cool track, here are cool vocals. Putting them together doesn't necessarily mean it's a cool song. Cool. All right, that was Vag. I hope it helps you. Let's move on to Johnny Gamble. Fresh blood. I don't like the second drop. Okay, well, and now we know. Okay, so far what I would say is this is very loud. Um, don't yuck somebody's yum. Uh, I feel like the chords are scary, and that's, that's a vibe for sure. But I feel like it's very loud and like, whoa, like I kind of want to turn it down. I don't think it needs to be that loud yet. Same with this. I mean, like these elements, I don't think should be this loud. Like they're just very loud. Yeah, this is way too loud. The the master bus is doing a fairly good job at dealing with it, but it's just it's too loud. Another thing I'm noticing is like a lot of your sounds are pretty much dead mono. Let's take a look at the. I like the notes, I like the vibe of it, but it's just way too loud, and and like a lot of the sounds are. I do think it's too loudly mixed. Yes, 5 sound good. I don't. That's funny. It's too loud and it's too mono. So not only is it like stressing the limits of volume, but it's also putting all of that stress just straight down the center of the track, right? So yeah. Okay, let's keep going. The feedback is I drag the tracks that have been submitted into FL Studio and it arranges them in some order. I have no idea why or how, but that's how it goes. So yeah, so far this track it's a cool idea. It's just way too loud and there's too much stuff piled up in the center of the stereo field, which is feeling very congested to me, which kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, there's a word. It exacerbates. Is that how you say it? It exacerbates the loudness problem because it not only is it super loud, but it's also only in the center channel for the most part. There's some of like the is a little spread out, but the diddle 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 exacerbates. Anyway, okay, let's. And then you have these drums. It's so strange. So part of the track is super dead mono, and then other parts like those drums are like very, very artificially wide. Like they sound like they have some sort of delay-based widening effect on them. And that snare being so big and I don't know if it's the right snare, maybe, but it's so room sounding, right? It sounds like it's like it's reverberating through a room, but it's dead mono, so that feels kind of weird to me. So I would focus on two things. Relax on being super loud for now. Just try to get it sounding super good, and who cares about the overall volume level? That's something to figure out before you finish the track. But I would definitely say focus on spacing things a little bit better in the stereo field, and then also just don't make it super that loud. It just doesn't have to be that loud. Hey, feller, do you have any tips on how to widen sounds up? Well, it depends on the sound. You know, the widening effects typically aren't great. You can sometimes you can use them. Sometimes they work out well. But most of the time, they just sound weird and artificial. So I would use certain things. So if you're doing sound design with a synth, you can use unison. Obviously, you're adding more waves on top of each other and panning them around. You could use chorus effect. You could have some short reverb, like room reverb, subtle stuff. If you're recording stuff, you could record it twice and pan it left and right. You could use a stereo microphone. You know, you can do some creative stuff. Like sometimes I'll take two different maybe shaker loops or two different top drum loops, and they're the same groove and they sound the same, but they're two separate recordings, and you just pan those left and right. And maybe it's 50% left, 50% right. Maybe it's 100% left, 100% right. You know, sometimes it can sound good hard pan like that. You can no, I always try to make sure that I say that you can have stereo width in your vocals, but they should generally be anchored in the center with width added. You know, instead of, for example, you could have one main vocal down the center and then record two doubles, or I guess a triple. So record two more of the same take and pan them left and right and put them in the back a little bit. So now you have it anchored in the center, but it still has stereo width to the vocal. It's not that vocals have to be mono. They just typically have to be in the center because that's where the listener expects them to be. Anyway, so yeah, I would say for this one, turn everything down a whole lot. Like, try to be too quiet, get the track sounding good, and then slowly introduce the loudness in a strategic way. And also, I would say try to explore the stereo field. It kind of sounds like most of your elements are either dead mono or super duper wide, and that just kind of makes them feel disconnected from each other. Okay, let's listen to this very end. But yeah, cool, creepy track. Good for Halloween scares. Let's move on. Aiden Dodge, Reflection. This is cool. I like this. I think the piano is kind of weirdly scooped, or it almost sounds like it's going through OTT or something. There's something weird about the sound of the piano itself. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. You know what I would do? I would listen to some Kelvin Harris piano sounds or like the track. I think, didn't he make some tracks with Dua Lipa or something? Anyway, compare A and B, your piano to theirs, and I'm sure you're gonna notice that yours is very scooped and hyped. Like the mids are like gone and the lows and highs are like artificially boosted up. To me, that's the biggest issue right now. I'm assuming you're gonna have vocals on this or something, because it kind of sounds like there's room for vocals, right? But the chord progression's cool, the vibe is cool. I dig it. It's just the piano sound. It sounds like it has way too many effects on it. Dude, when it goes blah, 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 I feel like I'm like ordering a chandelier online. The shaker loop that has that hard, not hard pan, but fairly pan to the right, like hit, it's a little distracting because it's quite like a significant event every time it happens. That dunk sound. That dunk. This right here. String stabs in the drop. Sure. I can't see that being a problem. But yeah, I think like that shaker loop, it's panned quite heavily, and that one kind of hit, it just kind of feels a little weird being on one side. So I don't know, maybe just turning them down a little bit might help, or maybe like narrowing. It sounds like you have two different shaker loops panned hard left and right, or at least fairly hard left and right. I would even take it out of that section, just have the aim and break. I feel like that loop, if you look in your project, that loop might just kind of go the whole time, like drop out little sections, but for the most part, it's there for like most of the track. So I would maybe take it out a certain section. I don't think it needs to be here, especially if there's going to be vocals in this breakdown section and that aim and break. That aim and break would be way cooler if it was kind of just by itself, I think. And in this section, I probably have like a clap or something keeping the beat, because your cinematic drums are quite syncopated. Like they're not like on the downbeat. They're kind of jun 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 jun. Like they're not dum dum dum, and neither is the chord changes. The chord changes are kind of off time, sporadic, and that's cool. But something, even a hi-hat or something, just to kind of keep the beat, so that we don't just have all these sporadic notes, and it makes it a little difficult to kind of keep your head bobbing. It's not super difficult, but it's harder than I would think it should be. No, I don't think syncing the chords with the cinematic hits. I think just keeping it the way it is, but just having a clap or something, or something to keep the beat while those chords are kind of hitting and the drums are as well. Hey man, sorry if I missed this. Certain drums, just some drums, 1920s get skipped. I don't know what that is. Okay, cool. But I think the biggest issue with this right now is the piano. The piano just doesn't sound good. It sounds very high effort, low quality. Like it sounds like you have a lot of like effects on the piano. It could just be OTT, because OTT is a lot of effects in itself. But that's pretty much it. I'm assuming this is going to be a copy paste. And those blah, 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 I think they get a little pokey. I would maybe try to control their loudness a little bit more. But yeah, I think it's a cool start. Get some vocals on there. Get the piano. I think a good reference would be Calvin Harris. He has a lot of good sounding pianos in his dance tracks. All right, let's move on. Thank you for sending. We got Vulgar versus Chango. Squeeze Krovos remix. There's so many people involved. Let's have a listen.
What's the problem, ma'am? Oh, there's some guy been checking the place out. Oh, well, he went in the back. I have an apartment in the back, and he said he was looking for a guy. He comes to my door, and said looking for an apartment. So I'll live alone. I'm an old lady. I have no idea.
Crowbase.
This is cool, but that rupee sound is so loud and so bright. Like this whole spectrum over here is just kind of being represented by that sound. And you can kind of see it, right? Like if we pause that. And then we look at it. Oh, wait, that didn't do what I wanted. Hold on one sec. Strange. Channels app. Oh, it's because I was clicking. There. Okay. This is the average. Sorry, that took me a while. You can send it by the Discord link in the bottom of the screen. So you've got your sub bass here, which is super, super loud. That's fine. Then you have like nothing. And then you have the choopy choop sound, which is represented as this super bright, right up to like 10 kilohertz, very, very bright sound. And the rest of the track is just kind of chilling somewhere down underneath all of that. So that is the biggest issue I'm hearing with this right now, is just the choopy choop sound is like way too bright, way too loud. So yeah, I would figure that out, and I'd figure out some way of, even if the choopy choop sound just comes down a little bit, you might be able to either add a different sound that kind of does the same thing as the choopy choop sound, but it fills in kind of this low mid section. So maybe it's like a dirty bass or something. I have no idea who this vulgar person or people are. So whatever. But yeah, that's so far, that is the biggest problem.
What's the problem is? Oh, there's some guy been taking the place out.
Yeah, you can really tell because when it goes away, you're kind of like, it's like a relief to your ears. Right?
There's some guy been taking the place out.
And then when it comes back, you're like, fuck, choopy choop. Oops.
He went up for a guy who came to my door and
yeah, it's so loud and so bright, and it's just so hard on the ears. Oh God, I'm terrified. So yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I think this could be cool, but first of all, I don't think there's any side chaining happening, so that's a big problem, especially considering how loud it is. But the choopy choop is so bright, and then this new like wild siren-y kind of vibrato sound also is very bright and very loud. I think what you should do is turn off all of your master effects. I would incorporate some side chaining. I would turn a bunch of shit way down. And I would try to balance out the super bright harshness from the choopy choop, either by modifying the choopy choop or by adding something that kind of gives it a bit more grit and girth in the like low mids to connect it to the sub bass a little bit better. But this is hard on the ears because of how harsh it is and how it's not really balanced out by anything besides the sub bass, and the sub bass doesn't really balance out that harshness. It's just like added to it. Like I feel like if you took this project and you just mixed it better, you wouldn't really have to change a whole lot about like the structure or anything. You know, it's like it's a hippies in the woods on shrooms dubstep track, but I think the mix is really the issue here. It's just it's hard on the ears, and it could maybe be a monitoring situation. You know, maybe like your monitors they don't have a lot of brightness to them, or you're mixing on some sort of Beats by Dre headphones or something that it's really changing the frequency response. But on my speakers in my studio, which I am intimately familiar with, this is kind of objectively too bright and harsh. So. But the track is cool. I think it just needs a mix. It needs a better mix. So, side chaining, less bright, less loud, choopy choops, and try to balance the brightness with something else that does the same kind of articulation as the choopy choops. Okay, cool. That's what I got. Thanks for sending. Let's check out Veda Knockout. Yeah, this is really cool. The first start, the start sounds kind of like some sort of like Call of Duty game montage or something. Anyway, I was wondering what it would sound like. What if the that thing, what if that came out of just this section, the start of the section? I feel like there's two main elements, and the one is the very cool sounding bass, and then there's also the jet thing that's happening. They don't necessarily don't work well together, but I almost wonder if you could create a better phrasing. Maybe there's a column response thing happening. Dum 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 chicka chicka dum dum dum. You know, something like that, because they don't necessarily work together that well, in my opinion. I hope that you know what I'm talking about when I say j. Yeah, I just wondered, even just taking it out, see what it might sound better, because to me it just kind of gets in the way of really enjoying that bass a little bit. Okay, let's keep going. I think this section, unless you're planning on having vocals or something, this section is maybe a little too, like you might lose some listeners in this section just because it's kind of like I'm just waiting for the next section. Now, the next thing that I'm thinking about is the drums. The kick drum is kind of obscured a little bit. So if we just listen to just the sub range, it's just kind of thumping away down there. It actually sounds better just listening to that. I think it's because the I'm not sure. It almost sounds like there's numerous kick drum samples happening. Yeah, there's like a strong kick, and then there's kind of like maybe it's just the 808. The start of the 808 has a little thump to it or something. But like it feels inconsistent to me. Like I'm not really sure where the punch of the kick is supposed to be. There's very clear like thunk. There's like that very first one is clearly a kick. Then why do we have a very clear transient on this first? Yeah. That's probably what it is. It's probably like your 808 sub thing has a bit of an attack to it. The problem is that the kick pattern is confusing to me. Like there's just kind of kicks happening or there's thumps happening, you know. Yeah. I can hear the kick pattern now, but the thumps on the subs, I don't think they're doing anything to enforce the rhythm or the groove of the beat. I feel like you might want to simplify how many thumps are happening and have a more put together pattern for the. And then I also think that the snare drum, you know, I know this style kind of just has like that slappy, clappy snare thing, but I feel like the snare doesn't have much impact. Yeah, especially this part here. I would maybe sidechain to the snare a little bit. See how that sounds, you know, like have a bit more punch to the snare. But besides that, it's very cool. It sounds dope. I think vocals will do it well. And I hope that my random thoughts help in some small way. All right, let's move on. Let's check out Vel code 140 beat per minute. I hate summers 2607. Okay. Yeah, it's a sick idea. I agree with Kadia. I think this track deserves to have lyrics. I couldn't tell you any of the words that were in it, you know. And like the vocals sound good, and the vocals sound really good in the choppy sections, but like the verses, they just sound like splice vocals, you know, which they probably are. I Yeah, I totally agree. I think that this track warrants an actual song to be written, you know, not necessarily a track. It should be a song. Which that's not necessarily saying that tracks are less than songs. It's just sometimes you can have a track that's a cool track, cool production, cool beat, cool idea, but it's not necessarily a song. It's more lighthearted, or it's more about the sound as opposed to the concept or the idea. But I do think that this track feels like it has emotion in it. It feels like it's trying to convey something, and the lyrics that are there now, they didn't stick to me at all. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, like the track is dope. Obviously, it kind of ends abruptly, but whatever. I'm assuming it's just, you know, you're just kind of working your way through it. Yeah, that's a cool take. It's a composition. Interesting. Lyrics set to music. Yeah. Yeah, you might be like literally correct about that. Anyway, that's my thought is this needs vocals. It needs a vocalist. That's what I think. Everything else sounds dope. I don't really have any issues with like the production or mix or master. It sounds great. You are literally correct. Well, I feel like we're having an argument. Yeah. Anyway, I agree. It needs vocals. The end. That was easy. Thanks for sending. It was very cool. Let's check out 10 to 2. What if we changed the demo? Okay, so right off the hop, I'm not opposed to these sounds, but there's kind of not enough stuff there, and there's certainly not enough stuff there to do it twice in a row. That just would not fly. I mean, you're gonna lose, I would say, 98% of your listeners at that point. You might have lost 98% of your listeners at, you know, like this point. Like, give us like a respace underneath. Maybe give us some Foley sounds or some atmosphere or some sort of time stretch thing. Like there needs to be more stuff, more information. There's not enough stuff here to hold even the most patient person's attention, in my opinion. Okay, let's keep it.
Listen to yourself. Clearly, this isn't right. Senses in the night. Heart up on the shelf. Everything we want.
Okay, so the vocal, I like the melody. The vocal pitch is not great. You know, I would maybe keep working on your singing, practicing and discipline and stuff. I don't mind the vocoder. It's mostly just the fact that there's some notes that are kind of like sharp or flat. They're just not really on pitch. So you could do a little auto tune, you know, you could, instead of mixing your dry vocals with the vocoder, you could rely solely on the vocoder, but that's kind of like a bit of a cop out usually. So I think like the melody is cool. The performance of it is not that great. Let's keep going.
What if we just changed?
Like this is all cool. It's just that the pacing is. I feel like we lived through a very slow paced intro, then we lived through a very slow paced verse, I guess we would call it, and now we are into a build up. But just the pacing, if you think about it from the point of view of somebody who doesn't give a flying fuck about you, listening to this for the first time, doesn't know anything about you, doesn't know that, anything about your project, nothing at all, nothing about the song. If you think about listening to it from their point of view, they're just going to skip. It's there's not enough stuff to capture their attention. This over here, this could be the coolest shit that they'd ever hear, but they wouldn't hear it because they wouldn't get that far, like it just is too slow to develop, and too not enough elements to give us stuff to mull over, like slow pace isn't necessarily a bad thing. There just has to be enough stuff for us to chew on in the meantime, like some, oh, that's a cool, I like how the thing is resonating in the background, or oh, that's a cool, like that drum beat is like cut up in an interesting way. It gives your brain, the listener's brain, something to pay attention to while they're waiting 30, 40, 50, 60 seconds to get to like the part where they're like, oh, okay, here's the song, Anyway, let's keep going. Like these parts are super cool. Don't get me wrong; these elements sound dope, but it just I kind of feel like I'm listening to a stem of a like a remix pack, and I've listened to one stem. Like there's not enough stuff. Anyway, I'm beating off a dead horse.
Wake up every day, feel a morning kiss, thankful for today. Oh, when this could be.
Yeah, I like what you're doing with the vocals. It's just there's just some like the pitch issues, and I think either doing more takes, comping together a bunch of takes to get the best line of each take, and or a little bit of Melodyne or auto tune. I think that's going to go along. And then once you get your vocal performance better, you're gonna be more confident. Confident to mix it louder in the mix. Because right now, I'm not hearing a lot of voice. I'm hearing a lot of like that like frequency. It's very buried in the mix, and I kind of only hear like the fundamental frequency of your voice coming through. I feel like you're mixing it insecurely, which is fine. I mean, like anytime I've tried to put my vocals in, they're mixed insecurely as well. But yeah, I think like you've got a good head on your shoulders in terms of writing melody and musicality and everything. I think it's just a matter of like really trying to nail that performance, and whether that's like practicing the song a lot or finding a place where you can really belt out and not feel self-conscious around it, like I know if I was trying to record vocals and I knew that there were people within earshot of me, I probably wouldn't do a good job. So yeah, I would definitely keep going though. Keep working at the vocal side. Let's keep going in the track. Oh damn. So from a production standpoint here, we need some side chaining. We got like the ding, 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 but we don't have that pumping effect, and we're not making room for the kick and the clap or whatever on the downbeats. So side chaining would help a lot. I will say that the chord sounds are very, very loud, like they're overbearing, and they're overpowering a lot of the other stuff in the mix. Side chaining is gonna help, but I do think that those chords just need to come down. Musically, this track is great. Like, there's a lot of emotion in it, you know? It's just, I think side chaining and turning those chords down quite a bit is gonna do wonders. Like seriously, if you pulled that down like 5 or 6 dB, the track is just gonna come and put side chaining on it, the track's gonna come to life. But yeah, that's what I think about this track. I think it's got a lot of emotion, a lot of feeling. There's a lot of great things about it. The pacing is a bit slow. The vocal performance, you got to keep working at that. And then turn those pads and synth stuff down and sidechain it. And keep going. All right, cool. Thanks for starting. Let's move on. Tack. Jazzy Jazzin'. I don't know if this is good though. Lamau. Yeah, sure. Someone in drop up. So the pacing is a little slow on this as well. This similar to the last track. I feel like a lot of people are either going to skip forward or skip period. I mean, this track is fun. It's fun. I think it takes too long to get into it. It reminds me of like a fun cartoon kind of like go-kart racing game. So that's cool. I don't know. I don't really know what else to say about it. It's a fun, cool, jazzy track. It reminds me of this old game. What the fuck was it called? Wacky Wheels? Wacky Wheels. Hell yeah. Oh, man. Oh, this brings back memories. I had this for like DOS. I think I played this on DOS. It was like Mario Kart. It was like a clear ripoff of Mario Kart. But that's what this track reminds me of. Thank you, Drop Hop. Clowns versus Cowboys versus Big Band Swing. The crossover we didn't know we needed. Yeah, I think keep going. I would get into the track a lot sooner and then keep developing it. And that's pretty much what I got to say about that one. Okay, moving on. Swiss Cheese and Aiden Dodge Across the Field, Swiss Cheese Remaster Extended Mix. That is the longest title in the world. So the bass sound you're going dun 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 dun, like there's a lot of notes, and every time you hit that note, there's some sort of modulation or articulation in the bass synth. There's either a filter that's doing like a filter movement thing every time you hit it, so it kind of causes like this like thump or a rumble in the bottom end, and I don't think it's necessary. I think it's working against you. If this was me, I would take that sub bass and just hold solid notes and have the value of the sub bass be that it's kind of recontextualizing that arpeggio thing, and it's moving the chord progression around. But I don't think having it playing notes frequently is doing a good thing for it, because we're spending a lot of time hearing that articulation of the filter. I'm assuming that's what it is. Let's have a listen. So like the piano is getting a bit much, especially with the vocals come in. I'd maybe drop the piano out entirely and just have the vocals in kind of the like the, I don't know, the pad or the bass or whatever. I'd have that going. And hold on one sec, let me check. All right, we got room for one more track. And it's, yeah, drop something I can download in the Discord. Anyway, I would drop out that piano. The piano is very dense, it's very congested, it's taking up a lot of real estate in the mix, and now there's vocals there as well, along with like drums and percussion and bass, and there's too much stuff. I'd pull it back, let the vocals do their thing. And then on the vocals, I'd probably have like delay and some reverb. They kind of feel a bit dry for this style of music. But you know how there's dun 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 dun, there's so much stuff happening. And I think overcrowding a mix is a pretty common thing that we all do, and we all have to try. It's hard because, at least from my point of view, when I make music, there is a certain amount of insecurity, and the way you kind of combat that is to add more stuff, so that, you know, I don't know if that bass sounds that good, I better add another bass sound, you know, on top of it, or I better add more synth sounds to kind of make sure that there's enough good stuff there. But what you end up doing is now there's a whole bunch of stuff, and it just crowds the mix for no reason. Same thing here. It just kind of feels like the track kind of builds, develops, and then it just kind of sticks. Like all the elements are kind of there the whole time. You know, you pulled the kick drum out for sure, but like a lot of the elements just kind of chug along the whole time so far.
The breeze whispers something in the air, and we breathe in freedom without a care. Our spirits rise, embracing the serenity. We go through the summer with pure tranquility. And when the night falls upon this blissful place, we'll find the melodies in the moonlight.
Yes, it's Aiden Dodge. You are correct. Yeah, so like overall, I would say the track, you know, musically is great. I love the chords, the way it moves around. I like the arpeggios and how they're working, but I just feel like you got to be a bit more strategic with pulling things out, giving other stuff time to breathe and room to exist, and then building it back up and then giving us stuff back. When you just kind of have things kind of growing and ebbing and flowing the whole time, it just doesn't give the track a lot of definition. There's no like, oh, really, like in a build up here, and then okay, here's like the big crescendo moment or the drop or whatever. So I would go through and try to see what you can take out. At this stage of a track, I think one of the best things you can do is just go through and be like, what happens if I just pull out this arpeggiator in this section? Or what happens if I drop out all the drums and just have like the piano? with the vocals. Go and experiment with taking stuff away, because you've got a lot of stuff that you can take away. The vocals feel thin. They feel very high pass. They're a bit dry for this style of music. I'd get creative with some reverb and delay and stuff. And that's what I think about that. Thank you for sending. Very cool. All right. No quilt, no cult, no cavilt, Kevlet, and Duke Gray, Siren.
Time on our own, it's not even light yet. Turn off our phones, as good as it can get. Time on our own, it's not even light yet. Turn off our phones, as good as it can get. Yeah.
Okay, let me listen to this for a second. The vocals sound like they've got this resonant peak in them. Yeah, there's like this 350 hertz resonant peak in the vocal.
As good as it can get, as good as it can get. Time on our own, it's not even light yet. Turn off our phones, as good as it can get. Time on our own, it's not even light yet. Turn off our phones, as good as it can get.
Well, to give you some background, Eloon, I am 36 years old, and I've been making electronic music since 2004, and I've done it as a full-time career since 2012. I've spent a lot of time listening to a lot of music, and here I am listening to more. So this is really cool. I like the use of the vocal in the drop. I still think that there's something, I don't know, are the vocals time stretched? They feel fucked with. They don't sound like somebody was on a mic, you recorded it, you processed it, and that's in the track. The vocals feel fucked with. Like, was it a different tempo and it got changed, or there's something going on with the vocals that it's not necessarily a game changer or a deal breaker, because this is electronic music and we are used to having fucked with vocals. In fact, your drop is based on fucked on vocals. That's not what I meant to say. There's a certain sheen over the vocals, almost as if it was like an MP3 or time stretch or something. There's something digitally sounding about them. I do like the resonant filter sweepy thing, but I think you got to be careful with that because it's quite present in the mix. Heavy overdrive and filter is what we did. Yeah. Maybe they're just a little too loud or something. I don't know. The drop isn't bothering me that much. It was mostly the vocals leading up to it. Yeah, it kind of sounds like a pop bottle like blowing over it. So I'd check out to see if maybe that's something in the vocal, or maybe that's a result of some effect or something that you've put on the vocal. That's just Alter Boy Formant automation. Oh, that's cool. Okay. Okay, good.
Time on our own. It's not even light yet.
Yeah. That's what it's kind of supposed to do, right? I have had some issues with little altar boy as well. I've had to, like, whenever I use it, usually what I do is I'll like send something through it and record it and then kind of like freeze it, because I find sometimes it does weird stereo things. Like all of a sudden it's like, oh, it just added stereo width to the signal. I didn't ask for that, but then it goes away. I don't know. I don't know if maybe I need to like update it or something, but I basically I'll go through, if I want to use it for something, I'll like capture it and then delete the plugin or like mute it or turn it off or whatever, right? Oh, one thing I do want to mention too is that yeah part feels a little late.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cause she kind of goes, yeah. She goes, yeah, and that yeah, the E is on the downbeat, but the E should be before the downbeat, and the yeah should be on the downbeat, right? So instead of I won't even be able to do it wrong because my brain will just automatically do it right. But anyway, you know what I mean? She goes, E, yeah. The E should come before, and then yeah should be on the downbeat. So I feel like you have to take that yeah and shift it over a little bit, like earlier, and that will make it feel less chunky. I would also maybe audition some better different snare sounds. I don't hate it, but it's just kind of, it doesn't really do much for me.
As good as it can get. Time on the run. It's not even light yet. Turn the fire
Yeah, because kind of what it feels like to me is when the snare hits, the instead of it being like da ka, and the ka is like it's like a loud thing, it's like the energy gets sucked away because the snare is so small and kind of almost weak. Like I feel like the snare could be quite a bit better. Because you're side chaining to the snare, but you're not really justifying the amount of side chain that you're doing, right? You can kind of see it, like this section right here. You're side chaining as if it's a massive snare, but then you're like, that snare wasn't that massive. And yeah, I love the guitar too. The guitar sounds dope. I would maybe base the drop sections off of that. You know, I don't know. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool, and I don't know if leaving it till like the end of the track is the move, but yeah, and if you specifically listen to the hi-hat and the snare, the hi-hat is considerably louder sounding than the snare drum. So going back to the whole snare is not really quite strong enough. I think that's kind of maybe objective. But the track is dope. I think the song is cool. I think there's a lot of great stuff happening, and I hope that my random stream of consciousness helps you in some way. All right, this is a short one. Near do well, mad for amity.
Ne'er do well.
The This is like POV, you've died and you wake up and you are in Ocarina of Time, but it's hell.
In due time, everything will come together.
Okay, so it's weird and wacky. I like it. I don't like how you gave us a bit of a groove and we started to get into the groove and then you kind of rug pulled on us, you know?
You are so much more than what you've achieved.
Yeah, this part's sick. It's just leading up to it's very clunky. I don't really know, like the energy doesn't flow in any sort of like I hate to use the word predictable because predictable has negative connotations, but like at the same time, what is this section? Why did we get a little bit of drums for a little bit and then it kind of went away and then we had to build that energy back up again? Like you have to manage the momentum and the inertia and the energy and the anticipation and the violence and it needs to all work its way up and then deliver, right? And the arrangement is just a little funky. So, like, what if I just do this? What if we just come in and do a little one of these? Let's see what that sounds like. Ugh. Bring this over. Sure. All right. I mean, it kind of just happens a little like, like I feel like a little bit of effects would help. Or what happens if we just do that? No, there's too much shit happening for me to just copy and paste. What about maybe this? Yeah. Like, why not just do it that way? And then everybody's like, "Oh, this is cool," and they're rocking it, you know, they're rocking out, and this last section is seriously dope, and I just think that we need to get there sooner. And this little weird breakdown thing is kind of like I wasn't ready for a breakdown. I didn't need a breakdown. It's like you go to work, say you're like a roofing company, or you work for a roofing company. You go to work, you get there at like 8:30, okay? You load up all your equipment, your hammer and your nails and everything, and then you climb the ladder up. You put down a shingle, you start hammering it down, and the boss is like, "All right, break time." You're like, "I just got up here," you know? That's what this felt like to me. All right, I hope that helps. Moving on. We got Carabike Overwork Master 2. It's so weird. I love it though. I do agree. I think it was King Cobra that said that this transition didn't really. I feel like it could definitely. It kind of feels like a bit of a cop out to me, you know. I think it's so hard to give feedback on this because it's such a unique style. It's so quirky and like video game. I think maybe one thing that could be cool is like right here. I think that the voice thing says again. And if it does, get rid of drop out everything when he says that. Drop out again and then back into the beat, you know, to just give it kind of like a cool little moment. Because right now, when he says again, it's not really a moment. It's just in there. But if like the track built up, dropped, and he said again, and then it started doing the beat again, then it might be a moment, you know? This is very cool, though. It's very unique and interesting. The midsection feels so out of place. Yeah, I mean, I guess you're picking up on that. I see where you're coming from with the midsection feels out of place, but like at the same time, like everything is out of place, you know, like that's kind of that's I think why it didn't stick out to me, because the whole track is so bizarre and unique that the fact that it kind of did this weird thing in the middle just seemed par for the course to me. But I do think like, you know, a little bit of transitionary effects, build up sounds, swooshes, reverse risers, uplifters, downlifters, side lifters, lifters. All that shit would probably help to massage some of these sections, but then maybe it would sound overproduced for like this style of music. I don't even know what you would call this style of music. Forklifters. That's funny. Yeah, but I think generally, I don't know what to say. Or drum fill. Oh, drum fill would be a good idea too. I think generally this could be louder, you know, like the mastering could push it a little bit harder, but it doesn't really have to be super. Oh my God, elevator rave. Like a rave with like 4 or 5 people in an elevator, that this is the track that we're raving to. It's very cool though. Sorry, I'm yawning. All right, that's what I got to say. Thank you for sending. I like it. I think you should massage it a little more, finish it up, move on. That's my suggestion. All right, let's check out Activation Aversion Sawyer edit. Here we go. I'm not going to be yawning here shortly.
Command, this is Control. We are ready for liftoff.
Activision.
Daddy, chill.
Please, Sawyer!
to the fill out on that?
I mean, this is my favorite Sawyer track yet. This is my favorite Sawyer track. I like this a lot. I think that the only problem that I have with it right now is that it kind of is a little, in my opinion, it's a little too chunky. Like it starts and stops and starts and stops. And I'm not necessarily talking about like this stuff. That's cool. It's just like I feel like it's a kick edit. Yeah, this is where my age is gonna show. Benjamin, I don't know what your last name is. I can't really read it. Bitch. It's probably wrong. We're all full for today. I take 20 submissions and then we cut it off, or otherwise I'll be here all night. But I do this every Friday, so you can go and submit for next week. If you just know this is a song. Oh, yeah, okay, gotcha. Yeah, like I would have been happy to listen to I don't know. Maybe I'm full of shit. I don't know. I just kind of felt like I couldn't get into like I was constantly trying to figure out where the hell I am in the mix, but maybe that's just the way it's supposed to be for this music. I'm not really sure. It's dope though. I liked it. This is my favorite one of your tracks. I don't necessarily have any useful information for you, but that's what I got for you. All right, moving on. We got an industry submission. Haven't had an industry submission in a while. Should be interesting. Let's have a listen. This one's called Get Through It. So far, I would say the pacing is too slow unless you're planning on putting vocals or more elements. I feel like both of these sections could probably be cut in half because it just kind of is a bit dragging on.
Take me to Nirvana.
I think that those vocals in the background are cool, but the note that it lands on, I just want it to resolve, and it doesn't resolve. No. It kind of sounds like it's hitting like the seventh, as opposed to just landing on the root of it. You know. Yeah, it needs to go. Can you like pitch shift that one note so it resolves a little better, you know? My only issue is so focused on the drops. Well, the drops sound great. I don't really have any issues with the drops, to be honest. They sound fucking sick. I wonder, let's put Melodyne to the test. Let's see if Melodyne can just grab that one note in the mix and shift it up. We'll see. Oh, thanks. Thanks for telling me to update. Okay, here we go. Okay. We'll do this. There we go. Oh, it eventually shifted up. Let's try this. Melon, you dirty dog, you. It's not working, never mind. Let's take every E I can find and turn it into an F. No, it's too obscure. But let's just do this just for fun. Melodyne is like my favorite sound design. Anyway, whatever. I've been known to go off on Melodyne forever. I do think that note should be resolved a little bit better.
Take me to Nirvana.
That's, I think, what Kadio was talking about. Da-na-na-na-na-na. It doesn't really sound... Oh, actually...
Take me to Nirvana.
Let's let Melodyne actually do something it's good at. I mean, we're still kind of feeding it garbage, but with all the effects and shit on it, but
Take me to Nirvana.
Like it's not necessarily like the worst. It just kind of sounds like a different vibe than everything leading up to it. It's like, I think the vibe of that matches the drop, but it doesn't necessarily match the track leading up to it.
Take me to Nirvana.
I don't even know what key the song.
Take me to Nirvana.
Brown. What is that? Let's find it. It should be G minor. Okay, then let's. Yeah, you're right.
Take me to Nirvana. 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 Take me to Nirvana.
Anyway, whatever. Like I think that the way she's singing it now is off-putting because of what's leading up to it. I think that like this section here, I appreciate the new element you've added, but it doesn't quite take it up enough to feel like it justified this next section. Maybe more percussion or hats or drums or something else. It just kind of like it kind of sounds a bit too copy pasty at that section. Like these first two, I didn't feel that way, but then when it got to this section, I'm like, oh, here we go again. You know, ah shit, here we go again.
I wanna go further.
Yeah, overall, it's a fucking sick tune, dude. The drops are sick. I like the stuff leading up to the drops. They're just too basic to hold my attention for the amount of time that they exist, right? And it just, like I'm sure you spent 90% of your time on the drop, 10% of your time figuring out what the hell you're gonna put between the drops. So maybe now it's time to spend 90% of your time on the not drops. And then make $100 million. Okay, thanks for sending. Last couple, we got Truth Unmastered. Okay. So I think so far it's again the pacing is not like I like what's happening, but it's just kind of I've figured it out and then it's still there. You know what I mean? It may be first of all, this big sweep. I don't know if it needs to be that long. The problem is a lot of people just skip it. And that's the reality of the world that we live in. People will hit play and then get frustrated that nothing's happening and hit skip. So I don't know, unless you're like creatively, you're like, this is the way. This really represents what I want. That's fine. If you're like, I wonder if that's too long, I think yes. See you, Duke. So if you want a little sweep into it, does it have to be anything more than this? I just don't know even creatively if having that long of a sweep is doing anything except scaring away people with severe ADHD or causing them to skip. Then when it gets into this part. So now at this moment right here, I've already deciphered everything that's in the track, and now I just kind of have to listen to it again with nothing. And I'm sure there's some slight changes in the way things are automating up, and there's maybe some background noise. But like for the most part, I've listened to this section. I understand it. My brain is done figuring it out. And now I'm like, hey, give me something else to fucking figure out, like give me something else to chew on, because I don't want to just listen to the same thing over again. Yeah, now it's a rerun. Exactly. Yeah. So like a lot of the time and I do this all the time with my music too. I just take like both of these sections if I knew what tempo it was. Oops. Yeah, it's definitely not that. Let's see. Can you just tell me what tempo it is, and then I don't have to. Oh wait, hold on. I think it's 145, but I think it starts on the. So one thing I do quite often is I'll just take this section, I'll cut it in half. I'll take this section, Maybe I'll cut that in half. And like, is there any reason why this can't just be this long? Now, obviously, the transition, and I'm probably, I don't think I cut it in the right spot. Whatever. It's going to be rough, but I think that with the elements that you have here, you can only really justify kind of this amount of time. Yeah, I like this style. I almost think, what would it be like when this big section right here? What if you don't have the other stuff in the background? You know, the da-da-da-da-da-da and the vocal thing. What if it was just like bass? It was just like ball. Or like chop it up a bit more. Because right now it's almost like that's like a really cool moment, but you've diluted it with stuff I've already heard. So maybe like be super ballsy and have this. And just have like, just see what it sounds like with just the sub bass going on. And again, right here, what if this was just like this? I think like a lot of the time, if you just have, if you're going for like a cool choppy phrasing where the production changes a lot and it's kind of syncopated and chunky, you almost have to look at what is overlapping of these sections. You could have like a bunch of drum loops and percussive stuff, and maybe it's just playing straight through. It's not getting cut up at all, but you're trying to cut up the other stuff that dilutes the cutness of it, right? It smooths things out a bit too much. And I think that that's doing the same thing here, where you have the reverb and delayed vocal and arpeggio synthy plucky thing on top of something where it's supposed to be like this impactful change and chop. It kind of dilutes that and smudges it. Same as with me just removing this one simple hit. That one little hit, if you leave it in there, it doesn't feel as choppy as if you take it out. You know what I mean? And also it's almost like, I think of it like you're almost like flexing your control over the mix by having stuff that's super lush and big, and normally without, automating the reverb or muting it or whatever, it would just bleed over everything. But you go in and you automate this big luscious reverb down tight for this little section where it's like almost silent between the drum hits. Like you're like flexing your ability to control the mix. And I think that's what this track could use, is a bit more control over the choppiness of it. I don't know if any of that makes sense.
We know our truth. The truth.
I kind of like, I like this section, but I kind of feel like, again, if we go back to the original arrangement, like we invested an entire minute getting ready for this drop, right? And then we get about 30 seconds of drop. So we invested a minute building up for the drop. And then for our 1 minute of investment, we get 30 seconds of drop, and now we're back out of it again. And I don't feel like that's a good return on investment. Now, obviously, if you shorten the intro, then the return becomes a little better. But I don't know if breaking it down right yet is the move. I was enjoying the groove. I was getting into it. And that's not to say you should just copy and paste it, but develop it more and explore more chunkiness, some choppiness, explore more production techniques and variations on that groove, but keep the groove going a little longer. You could even still use this, but don't kind of like pull the main elements out of it. That's funny.
Is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it. Ignorance deride it. In the end, there it is.
Another thing you should be cognizant of is that dun, 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 that arpeggio thing is like going like, we get that like the whole time. That is going the entire time. We don't get a chance to miss it. It just kind of becomes a little annoying after a certain amount of time, especially because you got this big moment where it's supposed to feel like this, like, okay, we're starting over, but we just have the same elements from before. So from right here, that thing, it's like, okay, everything's about to change. We're, you know, this is like this big moment, but we still just have the arpeggio. So you got to be a little, like, usually if you look at your project and you see something that just goes the entire time, unless you're making like a techno track or something, you know, you might want to be like, maybe I should just pull that out and give the audience a chance to miss it. You know, maybe focus on a different element for a little bit and then bring that back in at some point after we've missed it a little bit. Yeah, same thing here. I mean, like, I feel like these drop sections, I feel like the track is too much not drop and not enough drop pop official. And you can kind of see it from the waveform. I mean, like, here's a drop, here's a drop. The rest of the track kind of just feels like we're like in purgatory waiting for the next drop section. But this drop section is cool. I like the 4 to the floor. I like the first drop section. I think the track should look more like this. You know, like this drop section could be twice as long. This drop section could be twice as long. Fuck. You know, and I don't know. I think that makes more sense. And then what do we got for length? We're still not even 3.5 minutes. And that's with an intro that's too long. It's not necessarily too long if you do it right. You could add more elements and justify this length. A minute of intro is very common, right? But yeah, this is a better, this would be a better, I mean, it's not going to sound right because I didn't cut it properly, but like if you were able to make these sections, if you're able to vary them up enough to justify doing it twice as long, I think it's going to be a much better track. Okay, those are my thoughts. Thanks for sending in. Let's check out Drop Pop Thumb War 2. What happened to the original Thumb War? I prefer the original. Let's have a listen.
1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a thumb war. 1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a thumb war. 1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a thumb war. 1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a thumb war. 1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a thumb war. 1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a thumb war. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4. I declare a thumb war.
I feel like we should have that sub bass here. Feels weird without the sub bass there, or like the sub bass is up an octave or something. You could hear it right here. Yeah, I feel like this section should have that sub bass doing sub bass things. Same here. Like I think I understand what you're going for. You want those two sections to feel different, but like pulling the sub bass out just kind of makes that section feel weak. It doesn't have that deepness to it, right? So I would figure out a different way of making those two sections. I mean, they're doing different things. You know, you could still have the choppiness, but have that bass providing low end. So it's very hype. It's a lot of energy. It sounds pretty good. I would say that it's a little atonal. It's very noise, and I understand that that's part of this style is to have like, but I think to balance that with something that provides a little more tone, because if we ignore the sub bass, if we take a drop section and let's just high pass the whole track. I don't think you'd be able to tell me what key that's in. You know what I'm saying? So we shouldn't rely solely on the sub bass to provide the key of the song. It's not to say that you can't do those squelchy atonal sounds, but maybe either layering it with a gritty bass that has some harmonics that are spaced periodically and to provide tonal information, or, you know, like do phrasing things to get like a tonal bass in there somewhere. It's just, I would say 90% of these drops are just kind of noise and noise and noise and noise and noise and noise and noise. Like it's not, I can't hear a note. And in that way, it's kind of not that musical. And of course, it doesn't need to be fucking Mozart. It doesn't have to be super musical. But I think adding a little tonality to this is not going to hurt the vibe. It's not going to reduce the impact or aggressiveness of it. It's just going to give it a bit more musicality. So that's pretty much, I think that's going to be mostly my feedback. We'll keep listening though. What was that vocal thing? Anyway, yeah, it's very hype. It's very cool. It just, I would try to get some tonality into it. That's pretty much what I got to say about it. Thank you for sending. Okay, now we have one called Sex Club Master. Okay, let's have a listen.
Fuck it upstairs.
Okay, this is cool. I really like this synth thing. It's pretty badass. When the kick comes in, I'm not hearing a lot of sub. And I know that like hardstyle is its own thing. And a lot of the time I would complain when Sawyer or King Cobra Live sent in stuff and the kick doesn't have like a dong, like a hits you, you know? But I still feel that way. I feel like the kick in this section, I could kind of tolerate the fact that it doesn't really have much definition. It just kind of mixes in with the dirty bass a bit too much because it's like it's building up, right? But when it drops, there's not a whole lot of sub range. And again, I'm not really familiar with like super hardstyle stuff, so I don't really know what's normal or accepted or desired. But I just feel like if I just listen to the sub bass, I don't really hear any kick. I just hear all the stuff between the kicks. And maybe that's okay. Maybe that's a hardstyle thing. To me, I would be rocking out harder if it was like it was hitting me, and it's not real. Like all of the impact of the kick is like the like that top thing. A brick wall at 20 hertz might bump that up a notch. A brick wall at 20 hertz on what? The whole mix? I don't really... Let's see. I don't know. Let me just throw in a fuck. What's the tempo? Like 140 or something? Also, where's this? Okay. We're just gonna... Where's the start? 160. Ha! You guys are crazy. 160. All right. Take this kick. I mean, I'm not even going to sidechain it or do anything. All I'm going to do is fucking that. You know what I mean? Like that to me, the track just is, and it's not only is it missing the sub in the kick, but it also kind of sounds like it's missing the sub in the bass. Like it just doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of depth, like deepness way down low in it. That to me sounds better. But I don't think the 20 hertz thing is going to do anything because 20 hertz is not like the root, the fundamental frequency of whatever note this is. Let's figure out what note it is. If I go here and I go here and I go here, it's D, which is like 70 some hertz, I think, for that. So what happens if I do this? Let's just compare. I'm just gonna do this. We're gonna put a D. We're going to side chain. Where is that going? That's going to channel 29. Let's do a sub would suck up the mids. What? I don't understand what that means. The sub and the mids are two different frequency ranges, right? Okay, let's just see what happens. I don't know. Again, I don't really know how to make this music, and I might be doing like some war crimes, or I don't know if the Geneva Convention forbids you from using this sort of production technique. That versus... I don't know. know. To me, it sounds better. And I mean, I'm doing dirty things. This is very dirty. What's up, Raham? Me and Bleed are gone. Okay, where did you go to? Takes up hella space? No, I don't think so. I mean, like, it takes up hella space in the sub range, but that doesn't take away space from the mid range, in my opinion. But to me, this immediately has way more impact. So if we... Yeah, I don't know. To me, unless I'm committing some sort of war crime that I am unaware of, I think that's a good move. Oh my God, keychain. Gone is in 3 sheets to the wind drunk. Be gone. By gone, I mean completely gone. Is that a Fowler reference? Are you already gone? By Fowler, Quinn, and Slow Palace? Anyway. This is cool. I mean, like, the production and the track is cool. I just think I'm missing that low end, right? And even in this section, too. I don't know if you're listening with headphones on, but oh my God, just adding that low D. Oh, it's so much better. I'm actually fine. Ignore this joker, right? It's so much better, dude. Just put a sub bass in this bitch. Yeah, dude. Oh, this part's sick. Let me do this. This part's dope. Dun 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 dun. Oh, it's so much better. Should be illegal. Listen to this. There you go. Kick drum, sub bass, way better. The end. Thank you for sending. Okay, the last one of the day. Now we have to rewrite the Geneva. That's funny. You might want to do not as dirty as what I did. You might want to do it a little more, sub bass separation, high pass, etc., etc. But overall, I think that me just slamming some random ass kick drum and a sine wave just took the track up a few notches. All right, let's check out Kaioke, I think. One Big Heart, Taxodus, and Vivitch remix. Okay, so right off the bat, I wasn't like, if you think about it from my point of view, I've never listened to this, so I didn't know what was about to happen here. But those vocals they're mixed in a way that they sound like they're trying to be up front, but they're not. And that like electric piano sound, whatever that keyboard thing is like way louder than the vocals. So I feel like you were going for like some sort of teasing of the vocals and then you give us the full vocal here, but it didn't really come across that way. It kind of just sounded poorly mixed until it got to this section. I was like, oh, okay, now the vocals are loud.
только одна. Я как одно большое сердце. Бью из-за тебя, пока не треснет. Пульсы как одно большое сердце.
Hey, dude, we're all full for today, but I do it every Friday, so feel free to drop into the Discord server and throw it in for next Friday, and we'll check it out then. Okay, this is cool. I like this. It's a bit congested. There's a lot of stuff happening, especially right off the hop of the drop, the hop of the drop, the drop hop, the drop hop official.
Бью из-за тебя, пока не треснет. Пульсы как одно большое сердце.
What would it sound like if you just like pulled the reverb right off his vocals when the drop hit? So it was like super dry. Oops, that's the Windows key. To me, there's just like, it's almost like a cloud has approached us. Like there's a lot of good stuff in there, but the amount of reverb and just kind of sound is like blah, blah, blah. What if I do a little skip payola? I don't know what that means. I'm assuming you're bribing me, but I don't even know how to take a bribe, so. Yeah, there's just so much like noise, I think, is caused by, it sounds like you have reverb on many elements, or maybe there's just something like on the vocal that's like super reverbed out or something. But there's no like negative space in the mix. There's no kind of like room to breathe. Whenever like a drum isn't there, there's like this wall of like reverb ready to fill in behind it, almost like a traffic jam. Instead of having spaces between cars, you're like, oh, I can pull in there, but then another car just like pulls in, right? So that's what I mean by congested. There's just a lot of like reverb happening, I think. But like there's a cool drop in there. It's just being obscured by all this kind of smearing of the reverb and noise, maybe effects and stuff. I also think that this drop section is probably too short. I mean, like we were just starting to get into the groove and now we're going back to a breakdown. What's the tempo? Tell me what the tempo is.
Я как одно большое сердце. Бью из-за тебя, пока не треснет. Пульсы как одно большое сердце. Бью из-за...
Yeah, see, I can hear like all the delay on the vocals, and I'm willing to bet that that's in there in the drop as well. I would just like, when you go to the drop, just turn off all the reverb or delay, because again, it's just getting too messy. 150. Let's try 150. It is not 150. Let's see. Thank you, 155. All right. Turn the metronome off this time. Okay, so let's try this. Let's see what this sounds like. With a little bit of massage, I think that's the way to go. Cause like we're already grooving, we're bouncing, we're dancing, we're enjoying it, right? Don't fucking stop the party yet. We're not ready. You haven't worn us out enough to make us want a breakdown. Like you gotta make us earn that breakdown. Don't just like drop for 25 seconds and then be like, hey, it's time for a break. You know, the whole getting up on the roof thing again. See, now if you went that long, now that break all of a sudden is like, thank God, I'm sweaty, I need a breather. Like, yes, I want to just enjoy you know, the music, I just need a second to like catch my breath, and then you start building us back up.
Я как одно большое сердце, бьюсь за тебя, пока не треснет. Пульсы, как одно большое сердце, бьюсь, когда я вижу тебя, вижу тебя. Я как одно большое сердце, бьюсь за тебя, пока не треснет. Пульсы, как одно большое сердце, бьюсь, когда я вижу тебя, вижу тебя. Слезы будто звери, пусть мне кричат отбой. Это самый лучший очередной выходной.
Okay, let me throw another curveball at you. This is kind of a fake out, right? Sorry, let's go back. This is a fake out. This is also kind of a fake out. You're double faking out. That's too many fake outs, I think. So I don't know. I don't think that this little section is necessary. Or you could maybe incorporate it. You could kind of incorporate parts of it that you like into like leading up to it. But like it's breaking the momentum up too much. I'm generally not a fan of like fake outs just in general. And when they go extended periods of time, like if you've got people rocking out and dancing and you know, generally having energy and having fun, if you have these like long sections, people kind of might go get a drink, you know, they might lose they might feel a little awkward. They might lose their momentum. So I think you have to pick and choose like your breakdowns and your fake outs wisely, because sometimes a fake out, people will lose their mind. They're like, holy fuck, and then it hits and it's even better, right? That's the whole point of them. But when you use them too often and for too long of time, people are just like, I was hoping that the drop would come back so I could rock out again, you know? So to me, I think that this is a better arrangement, just losing that little fake out that leads into a little fake out. Again, here, there's just so much stuff, and I think a lot of it does come down to like the delay and reverb on definitely the vocals, but maybe other stuff. I can't really tell because it's just like almost like a wall of sound coming at me. Now, my next question is there any part where the vocal isn't there? I think that's one of the reasons why I like this section the best, is the vocals are a little more sparse, and it gives the rest of the track a chance to like be heard. Yeah, I agree with Katia. There's a lot of cool stuff happening, but it's just all happening all at the same time, all in a big pile of cool stuff, you know? Like, you can have lots of cool things, but when you just put them on top of each other, they're not as cool anymore. And I think this is my favorite part of the track is because the vocals come out of it a little bit, you know, like they're still there, they're still sprinkled in, but there's more room for me to hear like the bass thing and whatnot. But yeah, it's a cool track. I hope that all of that random rambling made sense and helps you be more happier. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. I love every single one of you, even though I do know some of you quite well, actually, at this point. But I do love you all, and I hope that you have a good weekend. And I will be here again next Friday, I think, unless I'm going PEI for a race. I'll have to get back to you on that. But generally speaking, every Friday, right here in the studio. Thanks. 36 years old. Let's go. Almost 40. Okay. Have a good weekend. I will talk to you later. Goodbye. I always don't do this very well. Okay, mute.